Okay. Oh, Jacob Nielsen. Oh boy. Oh boy.
I just sent Justin another link. Shocker. And this one actually is, again, we covering a topic we just talked about, which is generative UI. And then I have another link to talk about generative UI. So this one's going
Yep.
to be a generative UI conversation. So this link is an article written about somebody ranting about Jacob Nielsen, who was ranting about accessibility. And for those of you who don't know, accessibility is about making the internet and computers available to blind people or other disabilities of sorts, right?
Mhm.
Jacob Nielsen basically says accessibility is a lost cause, which is a huge take since he's this big UX guy, right? So this,
The big take for Jacob Nielsen. That is a really controversial statement, especially for him.
yeah. So I would go ahead and open up the first link, and
Oh
then
yeah,
we'll.
I'm not sharing my screen, am I? I'm sitting here
You are
looking at the
not.
article and
You are not.
all
Um,
right, here we go, y'all. All right.
And so he basically says accessibility has failed, right? And this person's ranting against him, saying like, "Hey, I think this is you as a non-blind person trying to push your understanding of accessibility to us,
Yep.
and frankly, it's in poor taste." All right, that's. I was like, okay, this. I appreciate seeing this rant primarily because I got to click on the link at the very top, which was Jacob Nielsen's actual rants. Um, and computers are, yeah, blah blah blah. All right, what I found interesting was actually his flowchart, which the other person rants about, but that's fine. Because we were talking about AI and generative AI, and Justin happens to agree with Jacob Nielsen's take here a little bit. Without, by the way, I'm not saying just Justin thinks that accessibility is important. I'm saying Justin's going to agree with Jacob Nielsen's take on how we should do AI, which is in the flowchart below this.
Mm. Okay.
So his take is that we've been building UI and then we have to fork it into screen readers, which then get translated to spoken words, which then gets translated to a blind user. And so
Mm.
there's many translation hops. His argument is that we should have the functionality requirements, and then the way that we provide the UI should go straight to AI and figure out how to do it.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so that actually
Yep.
leads to the other Twitter post that I sent you yesterday.
But
Um,
let me just comment on this for a second here, because I think this flowchart's really important. And I think that we've talked about this before, and I'm going to say it again because I really think this is important. We have a bias, those of us who both build technology and those of us who use technology. So if you're a user of the web, maybe you're not a developer, maybe you don't, but you use the web. We have a bias toward the modality that the web was built on by day one, and so much so that we have a massive blind spot, right? We sort of just assume that the web is web pages, that the web is the browser and the internet and those things, and we that's a modality for consuming the data and the information, but the modality is not the thing, right? And so I think that the thing that's interesting about this is that moving forward, what this is saying is that fundamentally, right here is an assumption about data and features to GUI, which is a modality assumption. But when you do this, you start to realize that actually modality doesn't matter, right? It really what the internet is about is connected information hubs. And
so
the
time
way
out,
in which you consume that is going to change.
time out. So for the we've been working on something on the side, and one of the things I think you wanted was to just generate static pages. And I think what I'm hearing you say now is that the data is more important. So like the database is ultimately the only thing that matters.
The data, not database, the data set, the data itself conceptually, not the infrastructure.
But conceptually, I've actually don't disagree with this, and I come from enterprise B2B, like big software stuff, right? And we had multiple modalities, the web, and mobile devices, and their interfaces were so dramatically different they weren't even funny. But you know, the
Yeah,
only thing that actually mattered was the data below it.
exactly.
the interface was all about usability for the particular user and circumstances that they were at.
Mhm.
And far too often, people just give the same shit to everybody in all
Mhm.
use cases.
Mhm.
So I think this is incredibly cool, which does lead into this is talking about generative UI. And then I literally sent Justin at 11:30 last night a Twitter link about generative UI. I did that because I still didn't have power last night. So I still had electricians at my house until about midnight. So it was a whole
Whew.
bunch of fun. Uh, but there are 7 examples of generative UI. Okay. And we briefly highlighted one of these examples earlier. You can just scroll down because it's actually
Let's read this real quick. Vercel, by the way, if you guys don't know, Vercel is like a backend as a service, kind of the hosting provider, et cetera, that provides a lot of Next.js, which is a kind of version of React.js-ish, a wrapper framework, whatever for React. That out of the box. I love Vercel. I've built on Vercel a few times. It's actually one of my favorite vendors to build software on. I love what they do. I think they're very forward thinking. So here's Vercel just dropped AI SDK 3.0. I didn't even know they had AI SDK 1.0. So I got to go check this out with generative UI support. And it's amazing. You could transform text and image prompts into React UI in seconds. Paradigm shift in how we interact with AI, making it accessible and engaging for everyone. So let's look at a few examples here. So the first is the Pac-Man. I'm going to make each of these bigger. So
blow your mind, man.
This prompt was play Pac-Man, and it built a Pac-Man game and embedded it into the chat. What are we? What? This right here is the future for how this is going to work right here.
Oh, this we looked at yesterday. This video we looked at yesterday, so you can skip this one.
This is, but like, I want to show it because this is how we're going to interact with stuff in the future, y'all. It's not going to be www.google.com/analytics anymore. That's not what it's going to be in the future. It's going to look like this. Talk about stocks.
If I type in here, like, what is
Oops, let me
what's
mute this here. So,
you can
what's
probably
the price of
do
NVIDIA?
2x the speed.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. What is the? I'll do 1.5. Oh wait, no, it's long.
like maybe it gives you something like, hey, here's a way to.
So what's the price of NVIDIA? It's going to then display a chart. So here's the chart of NVIDIA. I saw a great meme the other day that was like a deck, and it had like 2 bent things that were propping it up, and one was labeled Taylor Swift and one was labeled NVIDIA, and the deck was the US economy. Being propped up by those
but
two.
check this out.
Wow, look at this. Interactive. So, okay. So here's the thing. This is where actually I'm going to call a little bullshit on this demo. Because clearly this does not work this way. You can't just say like, I want to purchase NVIDIA and it gives you a purchase button and it works. Where's the authentication in your brokerage account?
So I think what you're seeing is a hint of the future here. And what I mean is
you're seeing a charrette.
I can actually imagine Apple, which is rumored to be working on generative AI as part of the next iOS release, having integrations to all the apps so that you could actually function with Siri and do something like that.
Yes. I think that is, I think that's very true. I think that's very true. This is really remarkable. And these kind of multimodal UI embedded chat experiences, this is the model of the web in the future. I'm telling you.
Keep going. You got so many cool things to see.
Interactive product buying experience. Let's take a look at this. What do we have here? Oh, wow. Wait. Okay. This is okay. So show list of products. I can't see this very well. It's a little pixelated, but buy book. Oh, interesting. A one-time password. Oh, so you could see that like integrating with Apple Pay, right? It sends you a thing, you Apple Pay, and then right. So that's kind of how that could end up working. Interact with your Stripe account. This is timely. All right, so writing a little bit of code here. 5 most recent customer names. Again, it's just like the analytics. It's just like the analytics example a few ago, right? Which is like, this is future ERP, FERP. This is this is this is what the future of enterprise reporting looks like. Telling you. Wow. So this is really
timeout.
Yep.
FERP.ai is available.
Oh man, that would be awesome. The future of ERP like AI conference. FERP 24.
FERP.ai.
It's not too bad.
Sorry.
Yeah, so
yeah, go keep going back to the other ones. Like these are, I just wanted to show the examples to everyone so they can see.
Oh, okay. Talk about the weather intuitively. So what is the weather in Tokyo? There we go. Again, drops a card in there with all of the data. This is something I really want to play around with, because this looks like super magic. Ask me MCO questions on sorting out. I mean,
by the way, guys, I already do my homework, my daughter's homework, which I don't remember everything. So I literally take a picture of her whole page.
yeah.
I send it to ChatGPT and I say, grade all of these for me and show your work so I can understand it.
That's amazing. I love that.
Did I not tell you that? I literally, because
So
I'm like,
good.
I don't remember this shit.
So good.
So, all right, that's that one. It's again, it's intuitive, it's card-based, it's dialogue-based, it's ephemeral, which is one of the interesting things about this is the very nature of chat-based communication is ephemeral. So you're not going to see the same thing twice very easily, which is actually a knock against this approach. But generally, this is mind-blowing.
Yeah, but like the ephemeral nature of it like doesn't bother me, right? Like, I mean, there's a control often in AI is called temperature, which kind of controls the degree of randomness in responses you get, right? So in this kind of instance, I imagine the temperature is dialed well down. And the other thing is like, ephemeral's fine.
Yeah.
Because why do you need it again?
Well, ephemeral's fine if you're not generating reports that you're trying to use as part of the basis
over and over and over and
over
compare
again,
over time.
and
yeah, I mean, that stuff will
it's
be
not
fixed.
actually the future of ERP in this case, because ephemeral is counter to ERP, which is not ephemeral, but actually what's the word for never changing? Immutable.
Immutable. Yeah. That's fair. But you know what I think? Yeah, that's interesting. So what might end up happening then is that you end up with these type of systems that generate the UI, generate the report. Then you can save that chunk of now written code that you don't ever have to touch, but you can just sort of save the widget, as it were, right? And it's already hooked up, and now I can just come back and revisit that thing anytime I want. So you're basically just getting handed little components of a web app that you can just kind of tuck away on a shelf and be like, great, I can come back and look at that little component anytime I need to.
I think what we're seeing is the modality question. And I actually think it's going to go back to, you're going to need the primary modality, which is for large enterprise systems, at least. You're going to need a modality that exists and is static. And when I say static, I mean is reusable and can be providing the same kinds of things. And then you're going to have hey, for 99% of users, they just need the question answered. They don't need the same report. Right. Yeah. And so you're going to see two different modalities appear. You're going to see the business quantifiable modality, and you're going to see the business execution modality. And the execution modality just answer my freaking question.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think, if you think about it, right, again, got to give AI credit and got to think through all the ways that it works, which is that it might just not fucking matter, because at the end of the day, pretend that AI is an intelligent being. I realize that will rub some people the wrong way. That you can talk to, that has perfect memory and perfect information, theoretically speaking, right? So really, in the scheme of things, why do I even need reusable UI? I could just ask it, hey, remember last quarter when we pulled that report of the things over the things and we show this? Could you do that again and compare it for me? Sure. And it's like talking to the best CFO in the world.
Sure. And I think 5 years we're probably there. right? But
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
long gap between there and now, and I think you're going to need multimodality.
But you will need multimodality for the transition and probably forever to some degree. I don't think the whole web will go toward agent-based interfaces, multimodal agent interfaces.
No, but 90% could, and
But
I
a
think
lot of it will.
And the thing is, like, if you save a PDF of the reports and you have some way of saving outputs, like you said, that's really what matters. So, I mean, and by the way, regulated industries, you have to file X number of reports and save them for X many years and those kinds of things. So, but the execution nature of generative AI and its ability to just answer your questions is mind-boggling.
I think it's like impossible to overstate it because, guy, like, look at where we are right now. Look at what we're talking about, and GPT-4 wasn't even out this time last year. Last year, it's not been 12 months, and now we're just like building entire web apps with 2 words. Like that is such an insane thing to happen in a year's time. It's so insane. It's so insane.
Yeah, it's so insane. We're going to say, have a good day.